would like you describe a little bit of your business, of your company, first of all.
Ok, per disgrazia non capisco tutto perché in italiano è molto male. Per questo preferisco parlare in inglese.
Your Italian is better than my
No,
Dutch.
definitivo no. Okay,
Please.
I would like to start in English, okay? I would like to introduce you to our company, dear ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me here today. What's our goal and who is flying? A few introductory words on that before I briefly introduce our founder team. FlyNow's goal is to make a measurable contribution to technological progress that also has a certain robustness. Why it is so hard to achieve real success at a climate conference? 200 countries, many different interests, but only a decision supported jointly by all can be reached. This requires the fulfillment of so often conflicting goals of ecology, sociology, and economy. We want to make a contribution here that manages to fulfill these opposing goals at the same time. A kind of game changer. More on this in a moment, but who are we? Next slide, please. I cannot see it, but you are...
Okay. Just a sec. Have you got a slide?
Must be slide number 2 now.
Just a sec. Here we are.
That's first, fine. That's second, fine.
Second one.
Perfect. A team that brings a lot of experience, especially from the automotive industry. 3 old men, but young in mind, met during a joint foreign assignment of the company Great Wall Motor in China and decided to approach the topic of mobility differently. Also to say it with Albert Einstein, you cannot solve a problem with the means with which it was created. That was how the company FlyNow was born. Next slide, please. The problem, I mean, is that two-dimensional mobility is exhausted. Actually, it's over limits. It is not a matter of replacement, but of relief in such a way that this form of mobility also works better again, so everyone wins. That is why our approach focuses on, next slide please, the areas inside the cities with a range of action at the beginning of 50 kilometers, later up to 100 kilometers. What's our product philosophy? Next slide, please. We are coming from proven concepts of existing vertical takeoff and landing concepts and adopted them according to our philosophy. Simple is complicated enough. By the way, a lesson we learned in the car industry where complexity often is a major mistake. Another good thing from the car industry we learned, called platform management, we integrated in our concept. Next slide, please. The base is a single-seater, automatic flying, given that nowadays 8 of 10 rides are done by only one person. Next slide. This can be converted into a cargo version while retaining all components, with the exception of the cabin. A stronger cargo version makes use of the components which can be derived from the two-seater. Next slide. The version is targeted for 2026. The software, a considerable part of the total effort, which we develop completely in-house, can be used with all variants. It only needs to be adapted in parameters, not in principle. This platform principle, combined with the approach simple is complicated enough, not only saves time, money and capacity, but also allows a much simpler and faster certification. This further reduces the cost of ownership many times over. Next slide, please. Our drone gives customers a multitude of advantages, starting with zero emissions, noise pollution that is imperceptible in the background, noise of a city and financial accessibility. This makes access to the per se premium offer of the third dimension socially acceptable and enables real demand through a high acceptance of the price. Next slide, please. Automatic flying, which means from one hub to the next, does not need pilots. Multiple redundancy ensures the required level of safety, while at the same time significantly increasing the efficiency of the entire system, both ecologically and economically. In Italy, in particular, payment stations on all highways can be also hubs, enabling travelers to cover the last few kilometers to the airport, for example, at the price of a cab, without traffic jams and without burdening the two-dimensional infrastructure. The further expansion to autonomous flying, which is realistically still further far away in time, is prepared hereby the necessary data collection of the automatic flights. Next slide, please. Our timeline is harmonized with EASA, with whom we have been in a lively exchange from the very start. The exchange ensures that we take the right path with our development right away and work with the certifying authorities in a targeted manner. Next slide. Just an impression on possible use cases at the beginning. We could start in a small area in Italy. The first use cases will be over non-populated areas, which has nothing to do with the lack of safety of our drone, but is for regulatory allowance. Next slide. Mountainous regions, which can only be accessed with great effort on ground, are also very useful areas of application in both in cargo and passenger transport sectors, and also rescue missions. Next slide, please. The supply of large ships, for example, in the Suez Channel, can offer enormous advantages in many places. On the one hand, during passing by, on the other hand, in ports where the people on board often cannot deboard, many needs can be met cost effectively and without burdening the environment. There are certainly so many possibilities worldwide that it will take many years before the production of drones can meet the demand. Next slide. Thanks. We take account of social aspects and the associated acceptance by achieving a very attractive price signal. This certainly has an impact on volume. You can see the price of our drone is roughly outstanding a standalone segment. Even in Italy, you can see significantly more Alfa Romeos and Lamborghini. In addition, there are the costs of ownership, which make our approach simple is complicated enough, a USP, especially in aviation. This is only the reason for a high market share with high daily use. Next slide, please. This high future market penetration leads to another effect, namely the significantly faster collection of non-personalized in-flight data. These are needed in a very large quantity to implement autonomous flying. We will be able to develop a head start of many years here. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is also a lesson learned from the automotive industry, where Tesla has also gained this incredible position through its data collection. We don't believe we can compare with Tesla, but we learned. Next slide, please. Coming to financial potential, there are 4 pillars of earnings. First, the production, analogous to many car manufacturers. The second is operation of drones, analogous to Avis or Europcar. The third is marketing on the data. And the fourth is trading with CO2 certificates. Strong local partners will be needed here, and there are already serious inquiries from large companies, which will hopefully result in very good win-win relationships in the future. Next slide, please. Our product development process for the start of production in 2024 of the first drone of our product family, we are currently close to the first full-size flying prototype, which will have its maiden flight in the second quarter of 2022, fulfilling all the targeting characters we announced before. All of us at Flyno are incredibly looking forward to this moment and of course to the next steps. Next slide, please. No question if, but where and who.